Hello, friends. Welcome to Akulmach Live. And in this section, which is dedicated to science, we have a very thought provoking, very interesting subject to discuss, and that is about whether we are aliens or we actually evolved on this planet. And that's a very big discussion. And in our discussion, we may be moving away from the mainstream or whatever you have studied. So your indulgence is very much needed. And the main topic of discussion is about the panspermia. Panspermia is basically means fertilizing the life across various planets. So it's panspermia. That's a major subject. And before we begin, let me draw your attention to the fact that the mainstream science talks about existence of life as early as almost like 1.5 billion years after the earth was formed. So for a very long time earth has been having the evidence of having life on this planet, and all kinds of life we have seen that the earth have been harboring. In fact, even today, every nook and corner of this planet is having some sort of life, whether it is microscopic or algae or all kinds of life. If you just take a teaspoon of material from anywhere, from ocean, from land, or even from the desert area, you will still see life. In fact, there are all kinds of extreme life which are even found deep inside the earth. I mean, the miners have actually confirmed that they have seen the rock eating bacteria almost like a kilometer deep. So, Earth is a very novel example of having every nook and corner of this planet supporting life, and for a very long time. However, the mainstream science says that the life evolved after permutation combination, and because of a chance which was given on this planet, the DNA was evolved, and that was the self-replicating. And that is something which is also talked about the during the evolution theory. And the life as we know it today is a byproduct of the evolution. However, there are some radical views which are coming up, and which are going against the theory of evolution and also the emergence of life on this planet, because so far we feel that the life that is found is all evolved on this planet, and as we see the life today is all because of the result of the evolution. However, the mainstream science is saying that that is not the way it looks like. It cannot be so linear, it cannot be so streamlined. The combination of permutation and combination depending on the the environment cannot be so straightforward that all kinds of life has evolved using the evolution. For instance, one of the predator which is found in the ocean today is shark. Shark has not evolved for almost 50 million years. In fact, whatever has happened to them is kind of they have shed those advanced features that they had, because those features in the ancient shark are not required by the modern sharks. So instead of evolving, they have kind of devolved. So the theory of evolution is something which is not in line with the evolution of shark, because if they would have continued to evolve, they would have become intelligent by now. 50 billion years is a very, very long time. So there are a lot of issues like that. However, the life as we know it today probably started, I mean, there are enough evidence embedded in our rock that the life started 3.7 billion years ago. When the life started 3.7 billion years ago, probably started off with the microscopic life, which is single cell version of those life form. Primarily, the conditions on earth was such that it was actually a cauldron of all kinds of material getting mixed in the very early part of the earth. And when these materials are getting mixed, then probably, I mean, I'm talking about the mainstream science, probably because of this churn, there was a chance that a DNA type molecule could have evolved. And once the DNA got evolved, what is the capability of DNA? DNA is a unique molecule. It's a chemical basically, but it has the ability to make copies of itself. Over time, it will make another DNA, another molecule, and so on and so forth. So that is what we know as life. That's the mainstream view of how the life could have evolved. 3.7 billion years. But then nothing interesting happened for several billion years. The life evolved into a from DNA to a single cell organism, and business as usual continued for very, very long time, extremely long time. No major movers and shakers happened, no major development in the life, and almost like over a billion years, which is a very long time. Once you have life started, then what is stopping it to become advanced very quickly, very rapidly? However, it did not happen. The single cell organisms which were found on Earth continued to live the way they wanted to live without the need of any evolution at all. They did not evolve for a billion years. And that is the biggest mystery, that if this life evolved or kind of generated on the planet Earth 3.7 billion years, why they did not do anything beyond that? After becoming a single cell organism, after that what? Nothing happened for many, many billions years, many years. Nothing happened. However, about 2.3 billion years back, the bacteria evolved. The bacteria as we know it today, and the bacteria class of life evolved. Now these are very special because the bacteria actually interacts with the surroundings. So prior to bacteria, the single cell organisms used to live, continue to produce, reproduce, and die without doing too many things. But bacteria actively hunt, and it interacts with its surroundings. So that changed everything. And another important aspect which changed roughly 2.33 billion years back was the ability to produce oxygen. So before that, the life was not able to produce oxygen. Now, how the life is actually producing oxygen? Oxygen is actually a byproduct. It's like a pollutant, because what life needs is carbon, and carbon is found in carbon dioxide. And in the early life of the Earth, there were very high carbon dioxide on the surface of the Earth, in the atmosphere, and the early life found that gas as the food, because they will consume the carbon and release oxygen. So CO2, they will consume the carbon and release oxygen, and oxygen will be released as a byproduct, as a pollutant in the atmosphere. Now this is exactly what we find in Venus today. In the atmosphere of Venus, there is like 98% carbon dioxide. Situation is very, very active. So for the microorganisms, the CO2 on planet Venus is like food. So if you are able to find the process or create a process on Venus, the bacteria of the early bacteria which were found on Earth could actually consume the entire atmosphere on Venus. And the situation on Earth were equally hellish. 3.7 billion years back, there were lava flowing all over. There was no oxygen in the atmosphere. There was very high carbon dioxide, and CO2 is very easy to manufacture in nature. So all of these things, and which triggered this single cell organism, and they were eating all the CO2, giving out the pollutant as oxygen. And this is exactly is the reality. The oxygen is the pollutant of the early life. Especially even today, the trees and the bacteria and the algae, they actually produce a lot of oxygen. They consume a lot of CO2 from our atmosphere, so much so that the CO2 has become a trace gas in the atmosphere, and most of it has been consumed by the life, giving rise to very high amount of oxygen in the atmosphere. So when such a thing is happening, oxygen became a permanent fixture of Earth. And since the life as we know it today thrive in oxygen, I mean all the animals, they consume oxygen and then they release the carbon dioxide, barring a few, then we feel that the oxygen is very, very important for life to evolve. But on the contrary, this was not the case when life originated on the planet Earth. When the life originated on the planet Earth, the situations was not like what we see today. So when we look around in any other on any other planet, when we look for oxygen, probably we will not find, but we will find a lot of CO2, lot of methane, lot of those gases which are harmful to us, simply because we are consuming the byproduct or the pollutant of the early life, and they actually consume so much CO2 that the lack of CO2 caused their extinction and leaving behind the oxygen, which has now become permanent. And imagine a situation where there was very high CO2 and the iron on those planets will never rust. So because there is oxygen on planet Earth, the rust will also visible, iron rust is also visible on planet Earth. All right. However, even after getting the life in the bacteria form, nothing major happened. There is no movers or shakers for almost like 2 billion years. So which is also surprising that life continued without any any evolution, did not demonstrate any evolution, and continued as is without any extra effort for almost like 2 billion years from that point. So 1 billion years in the beginning and 2 billion years with single cell organisms. However, very recently, just 560 million years back, there was explosion of life as we know it today on Earth. And as I was talking about in the beginning, that explosion of life is known as the Cambrian explosion. All kinds of multicellular organisms started to breed on planet Earth. They started to evolve, and that portion is that is what we are seeing today, and we are also byproduct of that Cambrian explosion. That we started seeing dinosaurs, we started seeing birds, we started seeing insects, all kinds of things started just evolving out of the blue. Suddenly it's happened. So this thing is very difficult to explain by all the mainstream scientists, that why 4 billion years back, when the life really started on planet Earth, why it did not follow the evolutionary pattern, and what happened 500 million years back, that suddenly we started realizing, hey, there is an evolution and we got to evolve and we got to survive, and survival of the fittest, all those kind of things started becoming a reality, which is very surprising, and the scientists find it very difficult to explain. Therefore, the new thought process is that the life never evolved on Earth. The life as we know it today, whether it is DNA or any kind of life form on Earth, even the small microscopic organism, they actually came from outside the planet. And that is why the concept of panspermia is being talked about. Panspermia is a name given, is a scientific name given to planting of seeds of life on different planets. Now, this is a process, if we don't have too much evidence, we are only gathering evidence of this, and most of these evidence is coming from the meteorite fragments and the by examining the comets. And we have found that the meteorites and all those things that keep crashing, coming down on the planet, they have water, they have different kinds of organic material found in them, and therefore there could be a chance that some of these meteorites and the falling stars and the comets, they would have actually created, they would have brought life, and at different points of time, the different types of life were brought in. And therefore, if this is true, then there is a separate mechanism which is happening in our universe, which is related to seeding of the universe, and that is a constant process. From some source, there is a life being sent out from somewhere to everywhere in the universe. And as we say that the life may be very abundant, especially the single cell life, probably if the single cells are found on Earth, and if we find an evidence that there are cellular life found on even Mars or even beyond, like Titan or Europa, in the Jovian system, European satellites and Saturn satellites, then it will prove the point that the life may have come from somewhere else, because the life found on Titan will prove that probably it did not evolve on Titan. And we also have to see the similarity between the life or especially the single cell organism found on other bodies within our solar system. That will prove the point that there is something called panspermia as a process which keeps on happening in our universe. That means the universe keep evolving, especially the inorganic one, that is formation of stars, black holes, planets, and all other things keep happening based on the gravitational interaction. At the same time, there is a parallel process of spread of life, which is also keeps happening in the universe, and the life has the ability to travel in the vacuum of the space. And now you will ask that how life can survive when they're traveling in extremes of the universe. There are radiation zones, there are very heavy radiation, there are big explosions, and the temperature variation is also huge. Everything freezes in the cold of the universe, and if they come very close to a star, then it will get very heated up, where the life is does not have the tolerance of such cold and such heat and such radiation which is found in the open universe, in this space. And there is also vacuum, there is no atmosphere, etc. So the scientists actually started doing research, and then they started doing looking at the core of these meteorites, and they found that there is evidence of life in these meteorites hidden deep inside them. And whenever there are these meteorites and comets, they fall on different planets and on Earth also. The exterior of these meteorites actually becomes sort of a cocoon which protects the life in the suspended animation when they are inside them. So during the transit, these bodies actually act as a cover, as a cocoon, where the life can actually hibernate in the middle. And when they crash on the planet, some life form will survive, and then they actually start multiplying on those planets. So if this is the case, then probably all of these different life forms that we see today have all come from outside the Earth, and the evolution probably is not the right theory to explain how life evolved and how life continued to evolve on this planet as well as on all other planets. And if we are able to find the life on Europa, the theory of panspermia will actually get proven quite a bit, because then we will get a chance to look at the life form found on especially the cellular life form found on Europa or Titan, and we will be able to match those with the life form found on Earth. So these are certain things which are being exposed to us. But then you would ask that what is the proof? So here is the proof. The octopus. Let's look at the animal like octopus. While all other animals have very similar structure. For example, all other animals have heart, brain, nervous system, circulatory system, respiratory system, all very similar. So they will have 2 eyes, 1 brain, 1 mouth, and in case of limbs there will be 4 limbs, and in case of indexes 5 indexes. So all the animals will have very, very similar makeup. Now if you look at the insects, they are again very similar. They are classified as 6-legged, compound eyes, and 3 segment bodies. Again, 1 brain, 1 heart. So all of these animals and insects have 1 brain and 1 heart. However, octopus is very different. Octopus has 3 hearts. Octopus has 3 hearts, and it has several brains in its body. Each tentacle of octopus is controlled by a brain, a separate brain. That means the decision making capability of octopus as an organism is much far better than any other animal. Look at this way. If this hand has a brain, then this hand will actually start behaving differently. Similarly, this hand, another brain is fitted in this hand. So my 2 hands will have their thinking ability, and they will start behaving differently. So if you look at the brain of the octopus, every tentacle has its own brain. I mean, we are still learning about this animal. and they even if the tentacle is cut off, it has the capability to regrow along with the brain itself. So these are very, very alien type characteristics of the octopus, which is very baffling. And we do not see any evidence of any octopus before the Cambrian explosion. So probably the characteristic or the seeds of octopus came through a meteoroid or through a comet which came from deep space, brought this kind of life on Earth, and here the octopus actually evolved and survives and also multiplies. So which is very, very different from rest of the life. The octopus has green blood, which is not the iron based blood, it is copper based blood. So something like that, this shows that probably there is more standard model of the universe where the panspermia is the thing which is the normal, and evolution is an abnormal strategy. So if we actually look at the panspermia, that is more appealing. And now we also find the extreme bacteria, because remember when we said that what will life do in extreme situations like the surface of Venus, where the temperatures are so high and the carbon dioxide is also 98% in the atmosphere. So we find even today the extreme bacteria which exist in very extreme conditions on planet Earth. Some of these bacteria are found in the very deep portion of the Earth, where the temperatures are few 100-500 degrees centigrade, where we think the life cannot survive, but these bacteria survive, and their food is they eat the rocks. They start eating the planet inside out, and they are found in the deep mines, etc., and that is their optimum operating temperature. There are bacteria, extreme bacteria found in the deep ocean, where there is extreme pressure, where we cannot survive. None of the life found on Earth can survive in such depth of the ocean, but these bacteria live very comfortably. The temperature in such depths are colder than the Himalayas, top of the Himalayas. However, there are certain areas which gets heated up because of the thermal vents which are coming from the volcanoes, undersea volcanoes, where these bacteria thrive. And these extreme bacteria can live in very extreme conditions, high pressure, high temperature, acidity. But for these bacteria, this is business as usual. So we have the extreme examples. One example is the octopus, which is not similar to any other life form. The octopus does not have any skeleton of any kind. Similarly, we also have these microscopic organisms like bacteria, which can live in extreme environment. But are there any other examples? There are multicellular animals like these. These are known as water bears, and they are a millimeter long multicellular organism, and these are also known as extremophiles. All of these are extremophiles because the water bears have the ability to live in a very, very extreme situations. And humans have been conducting a lot of experiments on these water bears, and they are very, very resilient. They can survive in vacuum, they can survive in very cold conditions, minus 200 degrees, they can survive in plus 200 degrees. They are resilient, and in case the situation become resilient, and these are all animals, these are not bacteria, they are a millimeter, very small, but they are multicellular, a millimeter long. You can probably see with your naked eyes, or probably just by using a lens, you can see these water bears. So scientists have taken them to the space, and they have conducted various kinds of experiment, and they found that 70% of these water bears have survived the extreme conditions of space, which is very hot, very cold, no atmosphere at all, no water, everything freezes. When they were brought back to Earth, they all started coming alive again. So scientists probably thought in space that they died, but when they were brought back to Earth, they started coming out as if they are coming out from a suspended animation, and they started becoming alive. So this shows that the water bears these are multicellular organisms, have the capability to take a ride, to hitch a ride on a comet and then reach another planet, and then they will survive. So these are called extremophiles. Extremophiles are the type of life forms which can survive in extreme conditions. So in a way, Earth also offers an extreme condition. The Earth also, as far as the life is concerned, probably life find it very normal to live in such cold places like a comet, core of a comet. And probably the Earth may be an extreme environment, because from wherever we are coming, wherever the life is being sent in the universe, probably life has a better chance to survive there. But being sent out in a Panspermia, that means trying to germinate the life in all the planets, probably these all other planets including Earth is an extreme location for the life. So in nutshell, if we are also product of star material, humans are also product of star material, then we are also living in an extreme planet. So we are also in a way extremophiles. All right. So panspermia theory is a direct theory which is opposing the theory of evolution. Now the theory of evolution was given by Charles Darwin. It has been in the mainstream. There are a lot of evidence being offered. There are evolutionary tracks being demonstrated in the fossil record. But remember friends, that whatever we see in terms of fossils is only 1% of the total life that has ever existed. So the fossil record is very, very very small compared to the amount of life that we have seen on Earth. So to draw conclusions that evolution is the only theory may be wrong. That is what I feel. And anyway, we don't know, we can't say conclusive as a conclusive evidence. However, it's a debate. So I am putting these facts in front of you with the intention that you could throw some light from your experience, or if you have read somewhere, or if you feel this is right, this is wrong, if you feel that evolution is the theory which explains everything, then put forward your comments as well. Or if you feel that panspermia is something that you believe in, that we are all come from somewhere else and our origin is some other location, some place in universe which we must look at. So in nutshell, we were also star material, not originated from the materials on Earth. So in the end, I would like to say that, do you believe that the humans evolved from apes, all kinds of different kinds of apes, and then just like the sharks have kind of devolved over 50 million years, we will again devolve into another future ape? If the evolution theory has to be considered, that survival of the fittest as per the surroundings, conditions available in the surroundings. So if in future the conditions are not good for humans to survive, will humans become apes again, as per the evolution theory? I doubt it personally. I feel I tend to believe more on the panspermia theory, where if you look at the humans itself, human do not go back a couple of 100,000 years. So it's very, very small time frame for evolution to set in, and more or less the humans have not evolved for at least 100,000 years. There is no evolution. The language, we know we are the only animal on this planet with language skills. We have we have used our indexes effectively to make tools. We know how to make fire. We know how to make machines, unlike any other animals on this planet. So humans are very unique. There is not even a second species on this planet which has even 1% of the capability of the humans. So I personally believe that a miracle cannot happen in just 100,000 years. And obviously, if you look at the evolutionary patterns of other animals, they have taken billions of years to evolve. So ideally, humans should have lived on this planet for at least 10 to 15 million years to come to this level, right? Even if the beginning of humans started from apes, then they would have actually stayed for 50 million years and eventually evolved into all kinds of different kinds of species of humans. However, we are all humans. There is no difference at all. Absolutely no difference in DNA. We are all humans. Whether we look different color, different race, but deep down we are all the same humans. The difference between the genome of humans across the world is less than 2%. It's even worse than some of the species that are found on Earth. So that means it's a very, very close group. That means the number of humans that arrived on Earth were very few, less than 50 to begin with. And those 50 people, 40 people, initially, they are the forefathers of all 7 billion people today. So the permutation combination is very, very limited. Therefore, evolution does not explain humans at all. I personally believe this is not something which that is something explains the existence of all the life form on this planet, not even the single celled organism. And now, before I close, let me ask you one more question. We know that the life evolved 3.7 billion years back on Earth, and by chance, people say by chance it evolved, and then it became a single cell organism, and then it lived as a single cell life, whether bacteria, whether algae, but they were all single cell organism for almost 4 billion years. However, or roughly 3 billion years. However, 500 million years back, there was a Cambrian explosion. What triggered this explosion? What triggered that suddenly from single cell organisms, all the life form on Earth started becoming multicellular life forms? Why there are no 2-cell life forms? Why there are no 5-cell life forms? Why there are no 10-cell life forms? Why from single cell, all the life form immediately became a multicellular organism? Right? So that is one question with which I will like to end, and I look forward to receiving your comments and your thoughts on this subject. Like to know whether you feel that theory of evolution is the only theory that explains existence of all of us, all the life form on Earth is a product of evolution, or it is a product of panspermia. I will like to know from you. So thank you for watching me live. I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.